Hey, my beautiful sisters in ministry out there. It is Reverend Jocelyn welcoming you to another episode of Impact Woman. Week after week, I have the opportunity to sit down with some amazing women who have answered the call to ministry, whether they're answering it after a tragedy in their life or they felt God nudging at their heart to start this program or initiative. And so we talk about the process of journeying together and answering the call. For those of you who are meeting me for the first time, I answered the call about 6, 7 years ago when God called me to start a trauma healing ministry. And in answering that call, it grew from a simple blog to a national trauma healing church ministry and counseling practice where we help people across the country to heal from trauma. Now, I love doing this show along with offering a community for women just like you called Women in the Ministry, where we help other women to receive the support, the prayers, the training to be able to accept that call. And so, this Impact Woman show is designed to also be a part of your toolkit to hear from other women who've gone before you who are doing some amazing things. And so, today, I'm excited to welcome to the show definitely what I would call an impact woman, and that is Rafiah Maxie Cole, who is a mother, a licensed clinical social worker, and founder of Soul Survivors of Chicago. After losing her 19-year-old son Jamal to suicide in 2020, Rafiah turned her unimaginable pain into purpose, advocating for suicide prevention and mental health in the Black community. Through her documentaries and national speaking platforms, she brings awareness to trauma, loss, and healing. Her work has been featured in Essence, PBS NewsHour, and Chicago Sun-Times, amongst others, to be a voice around this cause. And so we're grateful to welcome her to the show today. Rafiah, thank you for accepting my invitation.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm so honored to be here today.
Yes, well, I wanted to have you on the show because first, I just feel like you're extremely brave, and what you're doing matters tremendously. And your story can connect with many others who have unfortunately gone through what you've experienced. And so, I would like for you to first start off by just sharing your story with our audience today.
Yes, absolutely. My story and what I'm learning through these days of my story is I don't want it to be someone else's story. I know from what I've learned in our Black communities and in our nation is something that needs to be addressed. And the importance of silencing and addressing the stigma behind mental health became a mission of mine as I learned it from my life experiences of losing my son. So,
Mhm, mhm. And you're right, in our communities, it's extremely important that we talk about this issue. And I want to talk about your transition after the loss. Uh, you had to deal with your own trauma and the healing process, and then eventually you decided to start this organization. So talk about the in between of after the loss, your healing process, and then making the decision to start your ministry.
hmm, very good question. Well, after the loss, which is so devastating, something that no one wakes up that morning to expect, my healing journey is continuing, not just from that day, but will be a lifelong journey, mainly because my son will be um, deceased for the remainder of my life. So I have to continue this healing journey. But in it, I found a lot of things. For the most part, I initially did not know coming in, starting Soul Survivors would be a mission. It was more about continuing the legacy and helping that story that Jamal had be told. And I found myself after everybody had left and all the cards had stopped and the flowers had stopped and ceased, alone and in my son's bedroom. And I really said to myself, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I saw a shoe on the floor. And I said to myself, wow, wouldn't it be great if I could take Jamal's shoe, clean it and sanitize it, put his name in it, and gift it to someone who's in crisis, distress, a program, outreach, whatever it may be, with the understanding that this shoe represents someone's life whose legacy was cut short. When you put on that shoe, continue the legacy. I'll never see my son do the things that you're going to do. So, therefore, walk in purpose. Remember that you're doing it not just for yourself, but for someone else. And with that idea, we came along with others had wanted to donate their love and lost one shoe. And then we wanted to commemorate their life by making sure that box and that shoe had their story and their mission and what they were about as a person, so that that person who got the shoe would be aware of what they're walking in. And from that just became these nice little branches and leaves that came from the reality that we're talking about a very heavy subject. Oftentimes people are very, very inquisitive and very wanting to know how this happens, or wanting to have an outlet to say, hey, I've seen or heard someone that has had this happen to them. And I didn't know that going in. So with that, Soul Survivors became the birth. And it was really important for us to know that this is a community effort. By all means, Soul Survivors survives on the stories and what the community is experiencing when it comes to loss and trauma. And so, with that, brought on a lot of other people to volunteer and come forward with it. So, we're very proud to continue, working in that respects of it. So, my healing journey continues, and I think it will continue to go. And this ministry is building as it goes. I'm learning so much as I am in this, because there is no blueprint. We can all say, we're going to start this and we want to do that, but when you get in it, you don't know what it is or how to go about it. So being really prayerful each and every day about how to start this journey with our mission, and how I should be a vessel to bring this story and be a face of what happens when we see these things occur in our community, and what we can do about it and be empowered with it.
Mm, your mission, I'm so grateful for what you do, because it's something that our community needs. And in terms of this issue around suicide, it's often unspoken of until it hits home, until it's right at your doorstep. And when it does, it really does ricochet throughout someone's family, the tragedy of it. I want to ask you, what role did your faith play in
Mm.
you uh, moving forward with this? And it seemed like it happened organically, but I just want you to speak a little bit in terms of how God might have been speaking to you through this process.
Uh, my role and my faith are like hand in hand. I am so grateful for my God to be a shining light and supportive from the day I found out about my son's loss to every single solitary second of the day till today. I know my faith played a strong role in me being able to have some courage, mainly because this is a subject that many people will look at you at, particularly when you have a child you've lost. Oftentimes there's like, well, what happened, or what did you do, or what could you've done better? And so you're looked at. And then that also brings in, pieces of stigma. So to have my God and my support, and walking with the understanding that I can do this no matter what people say. And what I wanted to bring about was how we survive with this, because suicide is permanent. Problems are temporary. They are temporary, and they can be addressed in a lot of ways, but we don't want the end of a life to be that type of problem, because it can be so dramatic to the bigger picture of everything that comes out of it. So my faith has absolutely everything to do with it. I could not do this without it.
Mhm. Mhm. I wonder, Rafia, like, as it relates to the work that you are doing right now through your ministry, would you describe it as life-giving work to support others, to be a champion for this cause? Like, how does this work fill your cup, as they say?
Mm. in so many ways. The people I meet that have experienced the loss, there's no newspaper article or anybody coming to, um, give them the extra supports. Oftentimes, it's where you find yourself really being on an island, and being able to connect with those persons. That's filling, because it does seem very isolating and alone to have this occur and not know where to go, where to reach out. The supports are very, you know, strangled away, and some people know, and so some don't. But to have those connections, and to be building those with people, and to make it a normalized conversation, makes me feel like I can continue on this new normal of a world that I have. Because the day my son passed, my life changed. Everyone else's had to go to the same. I had to change to another normal. And this journey has taught me about the people invested and wanting to know. And I'm really empowered by them getting inspiration from our story and getting the ability to say, let me talk to my daughter or son, or let me talk to my mother or father or my uncle. I've noticed this, I've seen that. It brings those kind of things, awareness. And so I'm very grateful to be able to do that and not hide under a shadow of this occurred. I have to move on. Life is just going to move with it. It doesn't work like that. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. I wonder, as relates to just some of the lessons that you've learned while building your ministry and answering the call, could you share some of the valuable gems that you've learned along the way?
Relationships are everything. Relationships are everything. Building them, learning about people, people learning about you, that's the first lesson. Oftentimes, I'm reading stories, or I'm hearing about research, or I'm listening about persons' ministries. And if it's something that connects or something that they're doing, I want to learn more from them. So I'm reaching out, calling, emailing, giving um, tag, because I really want to be connected with that. So that's the first thing, the relationships. The second thing is that I can make mistakes in this because I am probably one of very few who's trying to get this word out. So if we're reaching out to a community and we need to learn more about it, or if there's investors that we need to kind of pull in, and we're still trying to find that thing, we can continue to take our time and learn from our ups and downs of this. There's no, failure in this when you're trying to bring out a message. The third thing I think that I've learned through this is that everyone that I've come to with this, um, sense of understanding that it's okay to not be okay, and that we all have had a place in our lives when we felt that, man, it's tough. Man, I'm taking two steps backward, one step forward, or it's just not fair. And so when you normalize that, that makes it a little bit more easier for people to understand a person in that dark tunnel, which my son was in, I believe, that only he could be in, because he could only see through that dark tunnel. Despite all the love, despite all the care and the resources and things he had, that moment was just his in that tunnel. So when you speak about that, that brings a lot of normalcy to people. And I think that's another lesson that bridges this from being something that happened to me to something that can happen to all of us, and has happened. So those things are my lessons I've learned.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, and I I want you right now to speak to someone who has also gone through a tremendous tragedy. They might not have lost someone due to suicide, but they could have gone through something like gun violence, a disaster, or something that just wrecked them. And they're now just, you talked about new normal, just trying to figure out what to make of life. And they are a person of faith, but they just don't know what to do. I think it may be about starting a nonprofit. What what words would you offer that person in this season?
Hmm. Tap into your inside and listen to that voice. It's speaking for a reason. It's pushing you in front of people, places, and things for a reason. It's calling you at the middle of the night and when you're alone or listening to that music for a reason. So listen to that voice. Another thing that comes to mind is that what your experience is matters. It matters. And to be able to share it, be able to even just say, I want to be in the comfort of people who have experienced it is important, and definitely something that is uh, 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 worthy of you to have. Let's say it like that. So being in touch with that is another piece. I think the third thing is that we minimize a lot of times the power that we have in our life journey and sharing that. I think that if everybody could write a book in this world, it would be the best book in this world outside of the Holy Bible, because it would tell so many diverse stories of things of courage and strength and trial. So write your chapter in this book, this nation's book that we're doing. Write your chapter. And you don't have to have the exact ways about going about it. Asking people, voicing those things that you see that are role models, you know, connecting with them in some way, or just asking to have a cup of coffee with someone who might just know a little something that might help you along your journey. Those are the little baby steps. And it takes time. It takes time. And there's no blueprint, like I said, to it. But the time and what you spent is so worth it. It is so worth it.
It
Yeah.
is, it is, and I see that through what you do now, and I would love for you to spend a little time talking a little bit more about the services that you provide now since you've been growing your ministry. How do you best support people through your work? Just talk about the great work that you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, one of our main things that we do outside of our shoe project, the Walk in Purpose, is that we have a support group. Our support group is called We Are One. And I found myself needing to have that support for myself during the first year of losing my son and not being able to find one, particularly for people of color. So starting this group was an effort to really kind of reach out to mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters and people who would tell me about, I know of someone, and just starting this one organic way of us talking with no format and just saying, hi, who are you? I am this, and this happened to me. And it is so comforting because that island gets very lonely. It's an isolating world. We have this commonality oftentimes that it's hard to share and understand. So the support group is one of one of our greatest things. The second thing that we do is we provide emergency crisis support for persons who are impacted by trauma, so suicide or loss. When we hear about them, we are concerned about how to maintain just for those days. Oftentimes, when you have a crisis, you're not thinking about your bills, you're not thinking about the next thing on your agenda to do. And they come in all types of ways of just kind of how do you manage life when life is just throwing you a curveball. So emergency supports in financial, we do provide those supports once we know about them, and we do like to support our families. And then we do a lot of work in the community. We go out to the barbershops, the local bodegas, the liquor stores, the beauty salons, and we pass out gun locks. We pass out mental health resources. We're getting ready to have our community billboard event where we're building billboards, to actually put in community resource deserts and say, these are the new things going on in our blocks, in our communities. This is where you can go. This is where you can find this and that. and be able to give a connection to persons who may not have a cell phone or don't have a social media contact or don't read the paper or don't have access to, community access channels and know about the resources or not connected with the churches. Those kind of things we want to make sure we reach out to. So our community outreach is very, very important. And we get a chance to really share our story. And then our documentary, which is our visual that tells our story and explains this this incident with more compassion than you've ever seen before, because it's three Black women who never knew each other until this time occurred in the loss, and what we've learned from those social disparities that happened, and the built environment that we live and how they impact sometimes our children. So those are many of our programs, and we're building on more.
I see you are
Yeah.
busy. You are doing some great work. And, one of the questions that many of the women who I support and coach in our community is, well, how do you get funding for this? So, where do you get your financial support for the various projects that you are working on?
We highly, highly rely on the support of donations, um, and we look for grant sponsorships that match with our events and our programs. We're still building our relationships with the foundations and other entities, and we're getting to a point where we're looking at our infrastructure and our actual location, and getting that all squared away. So it does take a lot of community effort and resources to ask for persons to support us, just for the little things like to pay for Zoom and pay for email address or pay for, the little things you have to have. So as we are small, we are big in love and we're big in our efforts. But those are the ways we keep our funding. And luckily, we've seen through just generous donations be able to continue to go and move forward. And as we build, we see ourselves growing day by day. Yeah.
Day by day. And I love what you said. You're small, but you're making big impact. You're doing big things, to be a light in
Yeah.
this world. And so I'm really grateful for what you're doing. And if someone would like to reach out for services or would like to support your cause, where can they learn more information about you?
Absolutely. We would love for you to follow us. First, we can be found on our website, which is Soul Survivors, spelled SOUL, survivorsofchicago.com, where you can find information about who we are, our events, our past media, and more information on our mission. We are on all social media platforms, and we welcome anybody to contact us via email at ssofchicago@gmail.com for more information or questions and inquiries.
That is great. Please do so. And Rafiah, you are a blessing to this world. You are a light. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to spend time with you today. I pray that God
Mhm.
continues to give you courage as you step forward to do this work and just gives you an overflow of support because this mission and the work that you do is vital to our community. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Jocelyn. I appreciate this. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And I hope you all were encouraged by this episode of Impact Woman. Sometimes when we go through tragedy, it doesn't make any sense. But what Rafia has done with her courage to be a light in the world, even having the pain that she's experienced, she turned her pain into purpose. And so I'm grateful for her. And I encourage any of you who are listening right now to reflect on maybe God is calling you to do the same in your own very special way. And so, if you are a woman who is looking for support in starting your ministry, I encourage you to download a free gift that I'm offering you on our website at sisterstartyourministry.com. Again, that is sisterstartyourministry.com, where you can download your free ministry launch starter kit. So that's this. So that is it for this episode of Impact Woman. I thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, you continue to make impact in this world. God bless you, sister.